Have you ever felt nervous speaking up or doubted yourself even when you knew you were capable? Most people let those feelings stop them from reaching their potential. The truth is, confidence isn't something you're born with. It's something you build every single day. It's about how you think, the small choices you make, and the way you act even when you're unsure. What you say to yourself, how you react to challenges, and the habits you follow shape your self-belief far more than luck or talent ever could. In this video you will learn real practical steps to stop letting fear and doubt control you. You'll discover how to act with courage, speak your mind without hesitation, and create routines that naturally strengthen your confidence. These aren't abstract ideas, they are actions you can start taking right now. By the end, you will understand how to train your mind, reinforce positive self-talk, and take control of your life so that confidence becomes automatic. You will not just feel it, you will live it every single day. Chapter 1. Step forward even when fear feels overwhelming inside you. Fear is not something you can simply remove from your life. It is a signal that tells you are about to do something important, something that matters, something that could change your life. Every person has it. Every person feels it. You feel it in your chest, in the tightening of your stomach, in the racing of your mind. It can make your hands shake. It can make your heart pound. It can make you want to stop, retreat, hide, pretend it is not there. That is natural. That is human. That is normal. But stepping forward despite that fear is what separates the people who live full lives from the people who spend their days in regret. Confidence is not about never feeling fear. Confidence is not about never feeling fear. Confidence is about moving forward even when fear is there. It is about feeling your knees tremble and still taking the next step. It is about having your heart pound like a drum and still speaking the words you know you must speak. Fear is part of life. What matters is how you respond to it. Do you allow it to paralyze you, or do you allow it to guide you, to push you to act, to remind you that you are alive and capable of more than you think? When you feel fear, you are standing on the edge of growth. You are at the boundary of what you know and what you can become. Fear is the mind's way of alerting you that something important is happening. It is not an enemy. It is a companion. It is a teacher. It is saying, this matters to you, this has weight, this is real. And when you step forward anyway, when you act in spite of the fear, you prove something to yourself that nothing else in life can prove. You prove that you are bigger than your doubts. You prove that you are capable of handling more than you ever imagined. Most people wait until fear is gone to act. Most people think confidence means the absence of fear. That is never going to happen. Fear never fully disappears. Life always presents challenges, risks, and unknowns. Confidence is not the absence of fear. Confidence is the courage to act when fear is present. It is the decision to not let fear make your choices for you. Every person who has accomplished something significant has done it with fear whispering in their ear. The difference between them and everyone else is action in the presence of fear. Action that tells fear, I see you, I feel you, I will do this anyway. You feel fear in your body because your mind knows something is important. Your body reacts before your mind can rationalize. You feel it in your stomach. You feel it in your chest. You feel it in your throat. Your mind begins to invent reasons to stop. Your mind begins to exaggerate risks. Your mind wants safety. Your mind wants comfort. That is normal. That is part of being human. But you also have a choice. You can listen to the fear and do nothing, or you can acknowledge it, respect it, and take the next step anyway. That is the power of courage. That is the power of unstoppable confidence. Confidence grows one step at a time. It does not grow overnight. It does not grow from wishing it into existence. It grows when you repeatedly take action despite your fear. It grows when you face uncomfortable situations and handle them anyway. It grows when you do the things you are afraid to do and survive. And each time you do it, a little more fear loses its grip on you. Each time you step forward, you expand your boundaries. Each time you act, despite fear, you teach yourself a lesson that no one else can teach you. You are capable, you are strong, you are resilient, you are enough. Think about it. Every time you have ever succeeded at something difficult, there was fear in the process. There was uncertainty. There was doubt. There was a moment when quitting seemed easier than continuing. But you did not quit. You did not stop. You did not retreat. You pushed through. That is exactly what unstoppable confidence looks like. It is not the absence of fear. It is the presence of courage. It is the daily choice to move forward even when fear feels overwhelming. Fear tries to convince you that you are not ready. Fear tries to convince you that failure is permanent. Fear tries to convince you that the moment is too big for you. That is all false. Fear is loud. Fear is persistent. Fear is convincing. But fear is also predictable. Fear always shows up when growth is near. Fear always shows up when opportunity is knocking. Fear always shows up when you are about to prove to yourself that you are more capable than you ever imagined. The key is to act despite the fear, to step forward even when your legs shake and your voice trembles and your mind wants to turn away. Step forward anyway. Step forward with small actions if necessary. Step forward with a single word if necessary. Step forward with a single breath if necessary. The act of moving forward is what creates real confidence. Confidence is built in moments of discomfort. It is built in the moments when you do not feel ready, but act anyway. It is built in the moments when fear is loud and persistent, and you still choose action. It is built when you embrace reality, accept your emotions, and do what needs to be done. Confidence is built when you trust yourself to handle life, even when you cannot control everything. It is built when you realize that courage is not a feeling. Courage is a decision. Courage is a choice, and the choice to step forward is always within your reach. When fear comes, pause and notice it. Feel it in your body. Name it, understand it. Do not fight it. Do not judge it. Let it be there. Let it tell you what it needs to tell you. Then deliberately, intentionally, and fully take the next step. Take the action you know is necessary. Make the phone call. Speak the word. Write the sentence. Walk into the room. Make the decision. Do the thing that fear tells you not to do. Each step forward erodes fear. Each step forward strengthens courage. Each step forward builds unstoppable confidence. Confidence is also reinforced through preparation. Action without thought can lead to mistakes, but preparation without action leads to paralysis. The balance is simple. Prepare as much as necessary, then act anyway. Learn what you need to learn. Train the skills you can train. Anticipate challenges you can anticipate. Then when fear rises, remind yourself that you have done what you can, and what remains is to move forward. That is the moment that separates ordinary people from extraordinary people. That is the moment that builds real, lasting, unstoppable confidence. Your mind will always question. Your body will always react. Your emotions will always fluctuate. That is life. That is human nature. But action is the antidote. Action is the proof. Action is what allows you to feel fear and do it anyway. You will never feel completely ready. You will never feel completely fearless. That is impossible. But action allows you to step into your potential anyway. Action allows you to trust yourself anyway. Action allows you to build the inner strength that cannot be shaken. Step forward. Step forward with your whole self. Step forward in small ways. Step forward in big ways. Step forward consistently. Step forward until the fear becomes background noise and courage becomes your default. When you step forward in spite of fear, something extraordinary happens. You begin to trust yourself. You begin to believe in your own ability to handle life. You begin to see that you are capable of more than you imagined. You begin to understand that fear is not a stop sign. Fear is a signal that you are on the right path. Fear is the doorway to growth, to achievement, to life-changing experiences. Confidence is not built in comfort. Confidence is not built in certainty. Confidence is built in action, persistence, and courage. Step forward, step forward, step forward. Every time you take action despite fear, you create momentum. That momentum carries you through the next challenge. It carries you through the next opportunity. It carries you through the next moment of doubt. And each time you step forward, you reinforce the belief that you can handle whatever comes. Each time you step forward, you build a muscle that cannot be weakened by uncertainty or anxiety. Each time you step forward, you send a message to yourself and to the world. I am capable. I am resilient. I am strong. I am unstoppable. Fear is part of life. It will always be part of life. But courage, confidence and strength are also part of life, and they grow when you step forward anyway. Confidence is not something you wait for. Confidence is something you build. Confidence is something you prove to yourself again and again with deliberate action. Confidence is the result of moving toward what matters even when fear is present. That is how unstoppable confidence is built. That is how you transform fear into action, doubt into belief, and hesitation into unstoppable momentum. The first step is simple. The first step is always within reach. Notice the fear. Accept that it is there. Take a deep breath. Then act. Do one thing. Do one small thing. Do one step in the direction of what you want, what you need, what is important. Each small step is a victory. Each small step is proof. Each small step is a foundation. Then take the next step, then the next, then the next, then the next. Step by step, action by action, courage by courage, your confidence grows. Step forward even when fear feels overwhelming inside you. Step forward and watch yourself transform. Step forward and discover a version of yourself that is unstoppable, unshakable, and fully alive. You have it in you. The strength, the resilience, the courage, the ability to step forward even when your heart pounds and your mind doubts. You have it in you. Step into it. Step forward. Feel the fear. Act anyway. Each step forward makes you stronger, braver and more unstoppable than you were yesterday. Each step forward builds a life that reflects the best of your abilities, your potential and your courage. Step forward even when fear feels overwhelming inside you, and keep stepping until fear loses its grip and confidence becomes your natural way of living.
Chapter 2. Practice saying no to things that weaken your confidence. Saying no is one of the most powerful tools a person can use to protect themselves, their energy, and their confidence. Yet it is one of the hardest things for most people to do. From the moment we are young, we are taught to be agreeable, to please others, to avoid conflict. We are rewarded for compliance and scolded for rejection. This creates a pattern in our minds where saying yes feels safe and saying no feels dangerous. The truth is, every time you say yes to something that drains you, that takes you away from what matters, or that goes against your values, you chip away at your confidence. You do not notice it immediately, but over time, the accumulation of these small compromises undermines the belief you have in yourself. Confidence is built when you honor your own needs, when you set boundaries, and when you recognize that your time, energy, and focus are valuable. Saying no is not rude, it is not selfish, and it is not a weakness. It is a strength, and it is a skill that must be practiced deliberately. Most people avoid saying no because they fear rejection, criticism, or disappointing others. They imagine what people will think, how relationships will be affected, and what the social consequences might be. This fear is real, but it is also misleading. The people who respect you for being authentic,
are the people who will support your growth. The people who resent your boundaries are the people whose opinion does not deserve to have power over your life. Saying no is a declaration that you value your life and your goals more than fleeting approval. It is a statement that you will not sacrifice your confidence for temporary comfort or validation. Confidence thrives when your actions align with your priorities. Every yes that is automatic, unconsidered, or misaligned weakens your sense of self. Every no that is clear, intentional, and respectful strengthens it. It begins with awareness of your own limits, your own priorities, and your own values. Ask yourself before committing to anything, will this choice enhance my life or drain it? Will it bring me closer to my goals or distract me from them? Will it uplift my confidence or diminish it? This self-awareness is the foundation of saying no effectively. Without understanding what matters to you, no boundaries can hold. Once you know what strengthens you and what weakens you, you can practice making decisions that honor your inner voice rather than giving power to external pressures. Every time you choose to say no to something that diminishes your confidence, you reinforce your self-trust. You prove to yourself that your needs and priorities matter. This repetition builds inner strength and creates a habit of living deliberately, rather than reactively. Saying no is not always easy, and it does not always feel comfortable. It often triggers anxiety or guilt because our instincts are trained to avoid conflict and maintain harmony. That feeling is normal. The discomfort is temporary, and it is a necessary part of growth. The longer you delay saying no, the more your confidence erodes. Every unspoken boundary, every unexpressed refusal, creates a quiet internal resentment that chips away at your self-belief. On the other hand, practicing no, even in small situations, gradually removes the fear. You begin to see that your relationships, your opportunities, and your life are not harmed by your boundaries. Instead, they are strengthened. Saying no clearly and respectfully signals to others that you are capable, decisive, and aware of your own value. It teaches people how to treat you. It teaches you how to treat yourself. Begin with small steps. Start in situations that feel low risk, such as declining an invitation that does not excite you or saying no to a favor that takes time you cannot afford. Notice how it feels to assert yourself. Notice how your body reacts. Perhaps your heart races or your voice wavers. That is part of the process. Each time you experience that discomfort and move through it, you build resilience. You train your mind to prioritize your confidence over the fear of disapproval. Gradually, move toward bigger, more significant no's. These could be turning down extra work that distracts from your goals, refusing to participate in drama, or stepping away from toxic commitments. Every refusal that honors your priorities is a reinforcement of your self-respect. Language matters when saying no. The words you use communicate more than just refusal. They communicate clarity, self-respect, and calm authority. You can be firm without being aggressive, assertive without being harsh. Simple statements like, "I cannot commit to this right now," or "I have other priorities I need to focus on," or "this does not align with my goals at this time," are powerful. They convey certainty without apology. They communicate boundaries without hostility. The tone is important. Confidence is reflected not only in what you say, but in how you say it. A clear, steady voice, even with brief pauses, communicates control. The body mirrors this confidence. Standing tall, making eye contact, and speaking deliberately reinforces the internal message that your no is valid and your priorities matter. Every time you practice saying no, you are rewiring your brain. Your mind begins to accept that your needs and values are important. Your body begins to associate boundary setting with empowerment instead of fear. Over time, saying no becomes easier.
The anxiety lessens. The guilt diminishes. You begin to trust yourself more. You realize that protecting your energy and your confidence is not only necessary, but essential to achieving your goals. People who respect you will understand. People who do not respect you will reveal themselves. In both cases, your confidence grows because it is no longer dependent on external approval. It is also important to understand the ripple effect. Every time you say yes to something that weakens your confidence, you not only dilute your focus, but you also communicate to yourself and others that your priorities are negotiable. Every time you say no to protect your confidence, you communicate that your life has structure, that your decisions are intentional, and that your energy is precious. Confidence is reinforced by consistency. Each refusal that aligns with your values strengthens the muscle of self-trust. Each refusal that protects your boundaries sends a clear message. I am the owner of my life. I am responsible for my choices. I am not willing to compromise my self-respect for the temporary comfort of pleasing others. The practice of saying no also builds clarity. When you regularly evaluate opportunities and commitments through the lens of your confidence and goals, you develop a sharper sense of direction. You stop being swept along by every demand, request, or expectation. You stop reacting automatically. You begin to respond intentionally. You begin to prioritize what matters most to you. Your decisions become aligned with your values. Your actions build momentum. Your confidence rises naturally because it is grounded in a life you are designing deliberately rather than reacting to passively. Saying no also teaches patience. It teaches you that not every opportunity is worth your time, that not every request deserves an immediate yes, and that not every demand aligns with your life. Patience is a crucial component of confidence. People with confidence do not act out of obligation. They act out of intention. They act in ways that strengthen their values and goals. Each refusal practiced with patience reinforces this skill. Each moment you honor your priorities, despite pressure, reinforces your self-belief. There will be resistance. There will be people who push back, who try to guilt you, or who question your choices. That is normal. Resistance is part of the process. It is the test that confirms your boundaries are meaningful. Each encounter is a chance to reinforce your confidence. Stand firm. Communicate clearly. Respectfully repeat your position if necessary. The more you do this, the more natural it becomes. The more you practice, the less power external pressures have over your decisions. Confidence thrives on respect for yourself. Saying no is a tangible expression of that respect.
Chapter 3. Take responsibility for your feelings and own your choices. Every person experiences emotions. It is unavoidable. Emotions arise in response to events, interactions, thoughts, and memories. They are part of being alive, part of being human. What separates people who succeed from people who struggle is not the presence of feelings, but how they respond to them. The first step to building unstoppable confidence is understanding that your emotions are yours and yours alone. No one else controls them. No one else determines how you feel. Your anger, your joy, your disappointment, your excitement, they all belong to you. When you accept this responsibility, you reclaim control over your life. You stop blaming external circumstances or other people for your emotional state, and you start owning the power to choose your responses. Most people live in a state of reaction. They wake up and immediately respond to what others say, do, or expect. A comment at work might make them anxious. A disagreement with a friend might make them upset. A delay or obstacle might make them frustrated. In each of these moments, they unconsciously hand their power over to someone or something else. Their confidence erodes because they are allowing external factors to dictate how they feel.
Taking responsibility for your feelings begins with the awareness that you have a choice. You can feel the emotion fully, acknowledge it, and then decide how you will act. You can respond intentionally rather than react impulsively. This is the foundation of emotional ownership. Emotions are not inherently good or bad. They are signals. They tell you something is important to you. They alert you when your boundaries are crossed, when your needs are unmet, or when your values are compromised. They also tell you when something is fulfilling, energizing, or aligned with your purpose. By taking responsibility for your feelings, you stop seeing them as problems and start seeing them as information. You begin to listen to what your emotions are telling you without letting them dictate your choices automatically. This listening builds self-awareness, and self-awareness is the bedrock of confidence. Taking responsibility also means recognizing that you are the author of your life. Your choices create your experiences. Every decision you make, no matter how small, carries consequences. When you acknowledge that your choices, rather than fate or other people, shape your reality, you empower yourself. There is freedom in this realization. The moment you stop blaming others for your feelings, you gain control over your future. You understand that progress and happiness are not handed to you. They are created through deliberate action and conscious decision-making. Confidence grows when you see yourself as capable of shaping your own path. Emotional ownership requires honesty. It requires you to look at your feelings without excuse. If you feel resentment towards someone, examine why. If you feel disappointment, explore where it originated. If you feel fear or doubt, trace it back to its source. This process is not easy. It can be uncomfortable to admit that your reactions are your responsibility. It is tempting to point fingers, to rationalize, or to blame circumstances. But clarity, growth, and confidence come from honest self-examination. By acknowledging your emotions and understanding their origin, you begin to see patterns in your responses. You begin to identify triggers and take conscious steps to manage them. Managing your emotions does not mean suppressing them. It does not mean pretending you are never upset, never anxious, or never frustrated. It means recognizing the feeling, understanding why it exists, and choosing how to respond in a way that aligns with your goals and values. When someone criticizes you, you can notice the sting of that feedback and then decide whether to use it constructively or let it fester. When plans go wrong, you can acknowledge disappointment and then focus on what is within your control. Every choice you make in response to your feelings either strengthens your confidence or erodes it. Choosing intentionally strengthens it. One of the most powerful aspects of taking responsibility for your feelings is recognizing the connection between thought and emotion. Your thoughts are the lens through which you interpret events, and your interpretation influences how you feel. If you constantly think about what could go wrong, you feel fear and anxiety. If you constantly focus on criticism, you feel resentment or inadequacy. If you intentionally shift your thoughts toward possibilities, strengths, and solutions, your emotions shift as well. This does not mean ignoring challenges or pretending everything is perfect. It means choosing to focus your mind on what empowers you rather than what diminishes you. Thoughts and feelings are intertwined, and confidence grows when you take ownership of both. Taking responsibility also extends to your actions. Every feeling you experience is a signal to act intentionally. When you feel frustration, it might be an invitation to set boundaries or clarify expectations. When you feel excitement, it might be a call to pursue an opportunity. When you feel fear, it might be a message to prepare, learn, or take calculated risks. Ignoring your emotions or blaming others disconnects you from the lessons embedded in your experiences. Owning your feelings means using them as guidance to make better decisions. Confidence grows when you see yourself as capable of translating emotions into purposeful action. Practicing this responsibility requires repetition. At first it is challenging. Your habits of blaming, reacting, or suppressing may be deeply ingrained. You will notice old patterns emerge. You may feel uncomfortable, defensive, or guilty. That is part of the process. Do not resist it. Notice it. Acknowledge it. Then make a conscious choice. This is where growth occurs. Each time you consciously take responsibility for your feelings and choices, you reinforce the habit. Each time you refuse to let external factors dictate your state, you strengthen your internal authority. Over time it becomes automatic. Confidence becomes self-reinforcing. Another key aspect is emotional honesty. In communication, expressing your feelings clearly and calmly to others enhances both your relationships and your self-respect. When you take responsibility for your feelings, you do not accuse others for how you feel. You communicate with clarity and ownership. For example, saying, "I feel upset because this expectation conflicts with my priorities," conveys self-awareness and assertiveness. It demonstrates that you understand your emotions, take responsibility for them, and choose an intentional response. Others respect this honesty because it reflects maturity, integrity, and strength. Confidence is strengthened through transparent and accountable communication. It is also important to understand that taking responsibility for your feelings does not mean taking responsibility for everything. It does not mean controlling how others behave or allowing yourself to be manipulated. It means controlling your own reaction. It means recognizing that your peace, your growth, and your confidence are in your hands. You cannot control external events, but you can control how you interpret them, how you respond to them, and how you allow them to influence your sense of self. This clarity is liberating. It removes the illusion of victimhood and replaces it with empowerment. Confidence is further strengthened when you pair responsibility with reflection. Reflect on your day, your interactions, and your decisions. Ask yourself which moments you took ownership of your feelings and choices, and which moments you let them control you. Learn from both. Adjust where necessary. Celebrate progress. Each reflection reinforces the connection between awareness, choice, and growth. This practice creates a feedback loop in which self-awareness builds confidence. Confidence strengthens responsibility, and responsibility deepens self-awareness. It is a continuous cycle that compounds over time. Taking responsibility for your feelings also impacts how you handle setbacks. Life will bring disappointments, failures, and unexpected challenges. The difference between people who recover quickly and people who remain stuck is their ability to take ownership of their response. When you own your feelings, you stop blaming circumstances or other people. You evaluate what happened, identify what you can control, and make a deliberate plan to move forward. You do not waste energy on regret or resentment. You act with clarity, focus, and determination. Each setback becomes an opportunity to strengthen your confidence rather than weaken it. Developing unstoppable confidence through emotional ownership requires patience. Habits formed over years do not vanish overnight. It requires consistency. Every choice you make to own your feelings reinforces your identity as someone capable, decisive, and self-aware. Each time you choose intentionally, even in small matters, you accumulate internal strength. This strength is cumulative. Small acts of ownership may seem insignificant at first, but over weeks and months, they transform your self-perception. You become someone who navigates life with calm assurance, clarity, and resilience. When you fully embrace responsibility for your feelings, you experience freedom, freedom from the weight of blame, freedom from the chaos of reaction, freedom from the subtle erosion of confidence that comes from letting others dictate your inner state. You experience empowerment because you understand that your emotions are tools, your choices are your own, and your life is shaped by your deliberate action. Confidence flourishes in this environment because it is grounded in reality, not in fantasy, avoidance, or external validation. Begin by observing your reactions. Identify where blame shows up. Note where avoidance occurs. Pause, reflect, and choose differently. Sit your feelings honestly and clearly. Make decisions aligned with your goals. Accept the results of your choices without denial or excuse. Repeat this process consistently. Each day, your confidence grows as your capacity to own your life expands. You become resilient, intentional, and self-assured. In the end, confidence is a product of ownership. It is built when you accept that your emotions are yours and your choices are yours. It is strengthened when you act deliberately rather than react automatically. It is reinforced when you reflect, adjust, and repeat. Every person who achieves lasting confidence understands this principle. They know that life does not hand out certainty, comfort, or control. They know that mastery of themselves, mastery of feelings and choices, is the only reliable foundation for unwavering confidence. Take responsibility for your feelings. Own your choices. Each time you do, you grow stronger, braver, and more capable. Each time you take ownership, you step closer to a life in which your confidence is unshakable, your decisions are intentional, and your path is fully in your hands. This practice is not a one-time act. It is a lifelong commitment, but it is a commitment that pays dividends in every area of life. Confidence is not given. Confidence is earned, and it is earned every day. One choice, one feeling, and one deliberate action at a time.
Chapter 4. Try new experiences to discover your hidden strengths daily. Every person has untapped potential. Every person has strengths they have never fully seen, skills they have never tested, resilience they have never experienced. These strengths do not appear while sitting in comfort or repeating the same routines day after day. They are discovered when you step into the unknown, when you try something unfamiliar, when you push yourself into new experiences. Growth is not discovered in the familiar. It is uncovered when you expose yourself to situations that challenge your abilities, your patience, your creativity, and your courage. Every new experience, no matter how small, is an opportunity to reveal something about yourself that you did not know existed. Life tends to keep us comfortable. Routine is safe. Familiarity is reassuring. It is easy to go through the motions, to repeat what you already know, and to avoid the discomfort of uncertainty. But every time you avoid the new, every time you stick to the predictable, a layer of your potential remains hidden. Confidence is built not only by achieving what you know you can achieve, but also by stepping into what you are uncertain about. It is the act of embracing the unfamiliar that teaches you your real capabilities. Your strengths are revealed through action, experimentation, and adaptation. They emerge when you move beyond what you think is possible. Trying new experiences daily is not about recklessness. It is about curiosity, intention, and self-discovery. It is about choosing to expose yourself to challenges that will expand your perspective. It could be learning a new skill, attempting a new project at work, speaking in front of people for the first time, traveling somewhere unfamiliar, or simply saying yes to an opportunity that initially scares you. Each of these experiences activates a part of you that has been dormant. Each step into the unknown
is a test of your abilities and a chance to discover hidden strengths. The more consistently you do this, the more resilient and capable you become. The first hurdle is fear. Every time you consider trying something new, your mind will present reasons to avoid it. It will exaggerate risks, highlight past failures, and imagine obstacles. This is normal. It is part of being human. Your mind is designed to protect you from danger, and in the absence of immediate threats, it uses caution to keep you comfortable. But you have a choice. You can allow fear to dictate your actions, or you can acknowledge it, feel it, and move forward despite it. The moment you act in spite of fear, you prove to yourself that your abilities are greater than you imagined. That proof becomes a foundation for confidence. Every new experience you undertake is also a lesson in adaptability. Life is unpredictable, and your ability to navigate unfamiliar situations is crucial. When you expose yourself to new experiences, you encounter challenges you cannot anticipate. You learn to think on your feet. You discover creative solutions. You notice skills you never realized you had. You understand how you react under pressure. These insights are not theoretical. They are practical. They shape how you approach future situations. They reveal strengths that are not visible in safe, predictable routines. Each day you try something new, your repertoire of skills expands, and your confidence grows proportionally. Curiosity is the key to discovering hidden strengths. Approach new experiences with an open mind. Do not focus solely on outcomes or results. Focus on the process. Observe your reactions. Notice what excites you, what challenges you, and what energizes you. Ask yourself questions. How do I feel when I am outside my comfort zone? What aspects of this challenge am I good at? What did I learn about myself in handling this unfamiliar situation? Curiosity shifts your perspective from fear to exploration. It transforms uncertainty into opportunity. It allows you to see potential rather than limitations. Trying new experiences also fosters resilience. When you attempt something new, mistakes and failures are inevitable. You will stumble. You will make errors. You will encounter unexpected difficulties. These moments are not signs of weakness. They are opportunities to strengthen your inner resolve. Every time you navigate a challenge, recover from a misstep, and continue forward, you demonstrate to yourself that you are capable of handling adversity. Resilience is built one experience at a time, and each step outside your comfort zone is a brick in the foundation of unstoppable confidence. The accumulation of small experiences matters more than one dramatic event. You do not need to leap into extreme situations to discover your strengths. Daily choices to try something new, even modestly, create compounding growth. It could be volunteering for a task at work you have never done, learning a new skill, joining a discussion where your opinion matters, or experimenting with a hobby you have never attempted. Each action stretches your abilities slightly. Over time, these small stretches reveal hidden strengths and build habits of confidence that persist under pressure. Reflection is essential in this process. After every new experience, take time to evaluate what you discovered about yourself. Consider what skills you exercised, what emotions arose, and how you responded to challenges. Identify strengths you did not realize you possessed. Recognize areas where growth is possible. Reflection solidifies the learning and makes it conscious. Without reflection, experiences remain fleeting. With reflection, each encounter becomes a stepping stone for deliberate growth, and your confidence becomes anchored in real evidence of your capabilities. Trying new experiences also enhances self-awareness. You begin to understand your preferences, your talents, your natural responses, and your areas for improvement. You notice what energizes you and what drains you. You discover patterns in your behavior and reactions. You learn how to leverage your strengths and address weaknesses. This self-awareness creates a sense of mastery over your own life. It allows you to make choices that align with your abilities and goals. Confidence is rooted in this understanding because it is based on reality rather than illusion or wishful thinking. Consistency is critical. Chapter 5. Notice when self-doubt appears and act anyway without waiting. Self-doubt is a companion that every person experiences. It appears quietly at first, almost imperceptibly, whispering that you are not ready, not capable, or not deserving. Sometimes it arrives as hesitation. Sometimes it arrives as a thought that lingers in your mind, convincing you to delay, to wait, or to question your ability. It is natural to feel doubt. It is part of being human. What separates those who achieve and grow from those who remain stagnant is not the absence of self-doubt. It is the decision to act anyway, to move forward even when uncertainty whispers in your ear. When self-doubt appears, the instinct is often to pause, to wait for clarity, or to seek reassurance. People believe that waiting will provide certainty or reduce risk. The problem is that certainty rarely comes before action. Waiting often strengthens the doubt, making it louder and more convincing. Every delay is an opportunity for hesitation to take root and for confidence to shrink. Acting without waiting, despite the presence of self-doubt, is the practice that builds real courage. Each action proves to your mind that you are capable, regardless of the uncertainty you feel. Confidence grows not in comfort, but in motion. Recognizing self-doubt is the first step. Awareness allows you to see it for what it is: a feeling, a thought, a signal. Self-doubt is not a judgment of your true ability. It is a projection of fear, past experiences, and uncertainty into the present moment. When it appears, notice it, identify it, name it, acknowledge it as a natural part of the process rather than a barrier that defines you. The moment you recognize doubt as separate from your true capabilities, you reclaim the power to act. Awareness alone begins to weaken its grip. Acting despite self-doubt requires deliberate intention. The first action is often small. It could be sending a message you have been hesitating to send, making a call you have been avoiding, submitting work that feels imperfect, or stepping into a conversation that feels intimidating. Small actions are powerful because they provide evidence that you can move forward even in the presence of doubt. Each small step reinforces the belief that hesitation does not define your capacity. Over time, small consistent actions compound into profound self-trust. Self-doubt thrives in overthinking. The more you analyze, compare, and predict outcomes, the louder it becomes. It feeds on delay. Action disrupts this cycle. By choosing to act immediately, you interrupt the patterns of hesitation and mental argument. You demonstrate to yourself that you are capable of making decisions and following through without needing perfect conditions. This repetition rewires your brain to prioritize action over fear. The more consistently you practice this, the easier it becomes to respond decisively, even when doubt is present. It is important to understand that doubt will never completely disappear. Every new challenge will trigger it. Every step into the unknown will stir it. The key is not to wait for it to vanish, but to build a habit of responding anyway. Acting in the presence of doubt trains your mind, body, and emotions to coexist with uncertainty. Your confidence becomes resilient because it is not dependent on a feeling of certainty. It is built on proof, evidence, and repeated demonstration of capability. This is the foundation of unstoppable self-belief. One of the most effective ways to act despite self-doubt is to focus on process rather than outcome. Doubt often arises from fear of failure or embarrassment. It imagines worst-case scenarios and exaggerates consequences. When you shift your attention to the immediate steps you can take, the doubt loses some of its power. Break tasks into manageable actions and focus only on the next step. Acting step by step builds momentum and allows you to move forward without being paralyzed by imagined risks. Momentum reduces doubt because it provides tangible proof that you are capable. Self-doubt often masquerades as humility. It convinces you to wait until you are ready enough or good enough. The truth is, readiness is a product of action, not the cause of it. Every action you take sharpens your skills, increases your confidence, and expands your capacity. Waiting for perfection only delays growth. Acting while uncertain accelerates it. Each time you move forward despite doubt, you build a new internal reference point, proof that you are capable even without certainty. This creates an unstoppable cycle where action fuels confidence, and confidence reduces hesitation in the future. Your body responds to doubt just as your mind does. Self-doubt triggers tension, shallow breathing, and the desire to retreat. Acting anyway teaches your body to coexist with this tension. You learn that your heart can race, your palms can sweat, and your stomach can twist, and yet you can still move forward. Physical sensations that once signaled alarm become part of the process of growth. Each time you act through these feelings, you reinforce your capacity to perform under pressure. Over time, self-doubt becomes less intimidating because you have proven to yourself repeatedly that it does not dictate your outcome. Reflection enhances this practice. After acting in the presence of doubt, review what occurred. Notice the skills you exercised, the challenges you overcame, and the lessons you learned. Reflecting reinforces the proof of your capability. It shifts the focus from imagined failure to actual experience. Each reflection builds a mental repository of evidence that supports self-trust. You begin to internalize the truth that capability exists, even when doubt is present. This internal evidence becomes a shield against future hesitation and a source of sustainable confidence. Accountability strengthens action. Sharing your intention to act with someone you respect, even in small ways, increases the likelihood that you will follow through. Accountability provides external reinforcement while also strengthening your internal commitment. Knowing that you will act, regardless of doubt, builds discipline and habit. Over time, your confidence grows because you are training both your mind and your environment to support decisive action. Self-doubt loses influence because consistent behavior demonstrates your capability repeatedly. Acting despite self-doubt is also a lesson in courage. Courage is not the absence of fear or hesitation. It is the ability to move forward in spite of them. Every time you act while uncertain, you are exercising courage. Each courageous act builds neural pathways that strengthen your confidence. Courage becomes habitual. Action becomes instinctive. You begin to see yourself as someone who can handle uncertainty, who can navigate challenges, and who can perform under pressure. Confidence grows naturally from the consistent practice of courage. Self-doubt is often accompanied by comparison. You may observe others and feel you do not measure up. Acting anyway teaches you that your path is unique. You do not need to match someone else's pace or achievements. You need to demonstrate your capability in your own journey. Each act of movement, no matter how small, proves to yourself that you can progress regardless of external benchmarks. This realization strengthens internal confidence because it is rooted in personal evidence rather than comparison. Timing is a critical element. The longer you delay action, the louder the self-doubt becomes. Momentum is essential. Acting immediately, even when uncertain, prevents doubt from growing unchecked. Immediate action trains your mind to prioritize capability over fear. It teaches your internal dialogue that hesitation is optional and that movement creates results. Momentum transforms fear and doubt into energy for action. It builds unstoppable confidence because your proof accumulates quickly, reinforcing the belief in your ability. Every person encounters doubt differently. It may appear as procrastination, overthinking, physical tension, or emotional discomfort. The key is to recognize the form it takes for you. Awareness allows you to intercept it early and choose action consciously. Waiting for the ideal conditions is a trap, because conditions are rarely perfect. Acting anyway, under imperfect conditions, builds resilience, skill, and self-trust. Repetition strengthens the connection between intention and action. Over time, your natural response becomes movement, not hesitation. Small actions build big results. You do not need to conquer every fear at once or master every skill immediately. Each step forward, taken despite self-doubt, is significant. Sending a message, making a call, trying a task, or sharing your opinion publicly, all are victories that accumulate over weeks and months. These victories compound. You notice your capacity has expanded. Confidence grows because you have built a track record of proof. Self-doubt may appear, but you have evidence that it does not control you. Acting despite doubt also cultivates patience with yourself. You may not succeed perfectly each time. You may encounter resistance, setbacks, or errors. That is expected. Each experience is feedback, not failure. Observing yourself take action in spite of doubt, and then learning from the outcome builds a deep internal trust. You realize that capability is not about flawless performance, but about consistent, intentional action. Confidence emerges from this consistent effort, and self-doubt loses its power. To fully embrace this practice, integrate action into daily life. Make it a habit to notice doubt and respond immediately. Treat doubt as a signal, not a command. Every decision, task, or opportunity is a chance to exercise courage. Each step forward reinforces your self-perception as someone who moves despite uncertainty. Over time, your identity shifts. You begin to see yourself as competent, capable, and resilient. Acting without waiting becomes instinctive. Doubt becomes background noise rather than a controlling force. Finally, understand that your confidence is strengthened by repeated proof of action. Each instance of acting despite self-doubt becomes a reference point for the future. You create an internal library of success, courage, and capability. The next time doubt appears, you remember your track record. You remember that hesitation is optional. You remember that action is possible even in uncertainty. This evidence reinforces your belief in yourself and accelerates your growth. Confidence becomes unstoppable because it is built on lived experience, not theory. Begin today. Notice the first whisper of self-doubt. Acknowledge it. Then act immediately. Observe your feelings. Take note of what you learn. Repeat tomorrow. Repeat the next day. Make it daily practice. Every action compounds. Every step forward builds proof. Every experience transforms doubt into momentum. You become someone who moves decisively, confidently, and courageously. Self-doubt loses influence, and unstoppable confidence grows steadily from the consistent practice of acting anyway, without waiting.
Chapter 6. Hold your head high and claim your personal space confidently. Confidence is visible before words are spoken. People sense it immediately when someone moves with certainty, stands firmly in their presence, and carries themselves without apology. Holding your head high is more than posture. It is a declaration to the world that you are present, capable, and worthy. It communicates self-respect and signals to others that you occupy your own space without fear or hesitation. Personal space is not simply a physical boundary. It is a representation of your mental, emotional, and emotional authority. Claiming it confidently means asserting your right to exist fully and without apology. Many people unconsciously shrink themselves.
They allow their shoulders to hunch, their voice to soften, and their presence to fade in order to avoid attention, criticism, or confrontation. This diminishes not only how others perceive them, but also how they perceive themselves. Confidence is rooted in recognition of your inherent worth. By holding your head high, by straightening your posture, and by maintaining presence in space, you reinforce internally that you deserve respect. Your body communicates what your mind believes. The two must be aligned for genuine confidence to emerge. Claiming personal space starts with awareness. Notice how you occupy space physically. Are you slouching, crossing your arms, or shrinking inward when you walk into a room? These actions reflect internal uncertainty and diminish your influence. Correcting posture is a simple yet powerful way to assert presence. Standing upright, shoulders back, chest open, and head level communicates confidence before a word is spoken. It also signals to your own mind that you are capable and unafraid. Movement shapes thought, and thought shapes action. The more consistently you assert your physical presence, the stronger your internal confidence becomes. Personal space is also emotional and psychological. It is the area in which you feel safe, centered, and in control of your reaction. Many people allow others to invade this space without realizing it. They absorb energy, opinions, and emotions from others to the detriment of their own stability. Claiming your personal space requires establishing boundary. It requires the ability to say no, to step back when needed, and to choose who and what deserves your attention. Protecting this space is not arrogance, it is self-preservation. Every time you enforce boundaries, you reinforce your value and increase your confidence. Confidence in presence also impacts communication. A person who claims their space is more likely to speak clearly, assertively, and with influence. When your physical stance, gaze, and movements align with your internal confidence, your words carry authority. People respond differently when someone stands firmly and looks them in the eye, compared to when they shrink and mumble. Claiming space is an unspoken form of leadership. It projects certainty and control. It makes others pay attention. It creates respect, not through intimidation, but through the authentic presence of self-assuredness. Holding your head high is both literal and symbolic. Literally, it is posture, alignment, and the way you carry yourself. Symbolically, it is self-respect, awareness, and refusal to be diminished. It represents owning your decisions, your emotions, and your boundaries. It is a statement to yourself that you will not compromise your worth. Every person you encounter perceives energy. That energy is shaped by how fully and confidently you occupy your space. Each time you assert your presence, you reinforce internally that you are allowed to exist fully, speak clearly, and act decisively. Practice is essential. Begin by observing yourself throughout the day. Notice how you enter rooms, walk down streets, or sit at your desk. Adjust posture intentionally. Keep your head level, chest lifted, and shoulders relaxed but open. Practice making eye contact without flinching or lowering your gaze. Adjust your voice to be clear, steady, and measured. These small actions compound over time, creating an internal feedback loop that strengthens your confidence. Your mind and body learn to work together, reinforcing the belief that you deserve to occupy space fully. The environment will challenge this. People may push back, crowd your physical or emotional space, or challenge your presence. In these moments, claiming your space becomes a conscious practice. Stand firm, maintain posture, and assert your boundaries calmly. Do not retreat because others attempt to diminish you. Every time you hold your head high in the face of challenge, you reinforce self-trust and resilience. Confidence grows exponentially when it is tested and proven under real conditions. Each challenge is a training ground for your personal authority. Personal space is not just about standing tall physically. It is also about prioritizing your time, energy and focus. It is recognizing what deserves your attention and what doesn't. Many people allow unnecessary distractions, negativity, and external pressure to invade their mental and emotional space. Confidence requires protection of this area. Choosing where to invest your energy, whom to engage with, and when to step back preserves internal stability. It signals to yourself and others that your presence, time and attention have value. Claiming space confidently also includes movement. The way you walk, the way you gesture, and the way you position yourself communicates presence. Moving with intention rather than uncertainty signals control and assurance. Every confident step reinforces the internal message that you are capable and present. Avoid rushing, slouching, or shrinking. Move deliberately. Let your physical movements reflect your internal certainty. Chapter 7. Break old habits that silently lower your self-belief consistently. Every person has habits. Some are visible, some are invisible. Some habits build you, while others quietly chip away at your confidence and self-belief. Many people underestimate the power of habitual behaviors in shaping their mindset. The routines you repeat daily, even in subtle ways, form the foundation of how you see yourself and what you believe you are capable of. Some habits empower, some habits silently sabotage. The first step toward unstoppable confidence is identifying the habits that consistently lower your self-belief and committing to break them. Old habits often persist because they are comfortable. They are familiar patterns that your brain knows how to execute without effort. The challenge is that comfort does not equal growth. Habits that drain your self-belief are often hidden in seemingly insignificant choices: procrastination, negative self-talk, avoidance, overconsumption of social media, or staying in situations that reinforce doubt. Each repetition strengthens neural pathways that support low confidence. Over time, these patterns become automatic, making it difficult to recognize their effect. Breaking them requires deliberate attention and intentional action. Awareness is the first step. Observe your daily routines and choices carefully. Pay attention to moments where you feel diminished, unworthy, or anxious. Notice the triggers that lead to negative thinking or self-sabotage. It could be scrolling through social media, comparing yourself to others, responding to criticism without perspective, or engaging in tasks that reinforce a sense of failure. By identifying these habits, you shine a light on the behaviors that silently undermine your self-belief. Awareness creates a choice: to continue unconsciously or to act consciously. Once habits are identified, analyze their impact. Ask yourself how each habit influences your confidence and self-perception. How do you feel after engaging in it? Do you feel empowered, drained, anxious, or doubtful? Recognizing the emotional and psychological consequences of these habits is crucial. Most people continue harmful patterns without realizing the cost to their self-belief. Examining the ripple effects exposes the connection between action and internal state. This clarity motivates change and sets the stage for purposeful habit transformation. Breaking old habits requires replacing them with new, constructive behaviors. Habits are difficult to eliminate in isolation because they are tied to cues and routines. The key is substitution. For example, if procrastination lowers your confidence, replace the habit with a system of immediate action steps. If negative self-talk dominates your thoughts, replace it with deliberate affirmations of capability. If avoiding challenges reinforces doubt, replace avoidance with small experiments of courage. Substitution maintains momentum while redirecting energy toward habits that elevate self-belief. Consistency is critical. One attempt to break an old habit is rarely enough. Neural pathways are strengthened over years, and new patterns take time to establish. Repetition is the bridge between intention and transformation. Each time you consciously choose a new habit over an old one, you reinforce self-belief. You are training your mind to respond differently, and each repetition signals internally that you are capable of change. Consistency creates confidence because it produces tangible evidence of self-mastery. Resistance is natural. Old habits are familiar, and the mind often resists change. You may feel discomfort, impatience, or self-doubt when trying to break patterns. This resistance is not a signal to stop. It is proof that you are challenging the comfort zone and moving toward growth. Each act of persistence strengthens the new habit and weakens the old. Over time, resistance diminishes, and new behaviors become automatic. Confidence grows when you persist despite discomfort, not because it disappears. Environment plays a significant role. Habits are reinforced by context. If you spend time in environments that encourage low self-belief, breaking old habits becomes more difficult. Surround yourself with people, spaces, and influences that reinforce the behaviors you want to cultivate. Remove triggers that maintain negative patterns and introduce elements that support growth. Consistent exposure to supportive environments strengthens new habits and fosters internal reinforcement of self-belief. Tracking progress is powerful. Record your successes, no matter how small, in breaking old habits. Journaling, habit trackers, or daily reflection can provide tangible proof of change. Tracking creates accountability to yourself and allows you to observe patterns, setbacks, and progress. Each recorded success reinforces your capability. It transforms abstract intentions into concrete achievements, which in turn strengthens confidence. Celebrating small wins compounds over time and solidifies self-belief. Self-talk is a key habit to address. Many people engage in internal dialogue that erodes confidence without even realizing it. Thoughts like, "I am not good enough," "I will fail," or "I cannot do this," quietly undermine self-belief. Replacing this habit with constructive, empowering self-talk is essential. Sift to yourself as you would speak to someone you respect and support. Each intentional word rewires your thinking and reinforces your capability. Self-belief grows when your internal voice becomes your ally rather than your critic. Breaking habits also requires clear goals. Old patterns persist because the mind lacks direction. When you have specific objectives for what you want to achieve, habits naturally align with them. Define what you want to cultivate in place of the old habits. Establish measurable, actionable behaviors that support these objectives. Every time you choose an action aligned with your goals over an old habit, you reinforce both the new behavior and your self-belief. Clear direction makes breaking old habits practical, intentional, and measurable. Accountability accelerates change. Sharing your intention to break a habit with someone you trust increases commitment. Accountability can come from friends, mentors, coaches, or communities. When others are aware of your efforts, you create external reinforcement that complements internal motivation. You are more likely to persist through resistance, track progress, and celebrate milestones. Accountability strengthens self-belief because it creates a structured system for following through on intentions. Emotional awareness supports habit transformation. Old patterns are often reinforced by emotional triggers. Recognize the moments when emotions drive old behaviors. Are you reacting to fear, boredom, stress, or insecurity? Once you identify the emotional triggers, you can insert deliberate actions to interrupt the cycle. Pause, breathe, reflect, and choose an empowering response. Emotional regulation enhances the capacity to maintain new habits and strengthens self-belief. Each successful response reinforces your internal authority. Breaking habits is a long-term process, not a one-time event. Be patient with yourself. Expect setbacks, moments of relapse, and lapses in consistency. These are part of the learning process. Do not use temporary setbacks as evidence of failure. Treat them as opportunities to observe triggers, reinforce strategies, and strengthen persistence. Over time, repeated effort produces lasting change. Confidence grows because you witness your capacity to endure, adapt, and improve. Visualization can accelerate the process. Imagine yourself consistently acting in ways that support your self-belief. Picture yourself responding to triggers with new habits, speaking with confidence, and making choices that elevate your internal state. Mental rehearsal strengthens neural pathways, making physical execution of the new behavior more natural. Visualization bridges intention and action, reinforcing self-belief and creating a mental blueprint for success. Mindfulness enhances awareness of old habits. By observing your thoughts, emotions, and behaviors without judgment, you identify patterns that operate unconsciously. Mindfulness creates space for choice rather than automatic reaction. Each time you pause and choose a constructive response instead of an old habit, you exercise control over your behavior and reinforce self-belief. Awareness combined with intentional action is the most effective way to dismantle habits that erode confidence. Gratitude amplifies habit transformation. Old patterns often focus attention on scarcity, limitation, or failure. Introducing a daily practice of gratitude shifts focus to what is working, what you are capable of, and what you have achieved. Gratitude rewires attention toward abundance, which supports the development of habits that strengthen confidence. Each expression of appreciation for your progress reinforces the belief that you are capable, competent, and deserving of growth. Breaking habits also requires flexibility. Sometimes strategies for change need adjustment. Recognize what works and what does not. Experiment with new methods to interrupt old patterns. Celebrate small victories and adapt approaches as necessary. Flexibility prevents discouragement and reinforces resilience. Self-belief strengthens because you learn that obstacles are opportunities to adjust, rather than evidence of incapacity. Integration is essential. It is not enough to act in isolated moments. Build new habits into daily routines. Align actions with values, goals, and identity. The more consistently you integrate new behaviors, the less room old habits have to reassert themselves. Integration creates automatic reinforcement of self-belief and confidence. Daily repetition transforms deliberate effort into natural behavior, producing unstoppable internal growth. The cumulative effect of breaking old habits is profound. Each habit that no longer undermines self-belief frees mental and emotional energy. Each replaced behavior strengthens confidence and reinforces identity as a capable, resilient individual. Over time, the small shifts accumulate into a transformation that changes how you see yourself, how you act, and how others perceive you. Confidence becomes automatic, grounded in lived experience, and reinforced by consistent action. Commitment is the final ingredient. Breaking old habits requires dedication, persistence, and conscious effort. Every choice to act differently, every deliberate interruption of an old pattern, every reinforcement of new behavior is a declaration of self-belief. The more consistently you practice, the more automatic and powerful your confidence becomes. It is not temporary or situational. It becomes part of your identity. Self-belief is strengthened because it is supported by tangible proof rather than wishful thinking. Begin today. Identify one habit that undermines your self-belief. Observe how it affects your thoughts, emotions, and actions. Design a replacement behavior. Practice it consistently. Track progress. Reflect. Adjust, and repeat. Surround yourself with influences that support growth. Protect your energy, reinforce your internal authority, and act deliberately. Over weeks and months, these conscious actions compound. Old habits lose their influence. Confidence grows. Self-belief strengthens. You become someone who consistently chooses behaviors that elevate and empower. Breaking habits that silently lower your self-belief is not an overnight achievement. It is a daily, intentional practice that requires awareness, persistence, and action. Every small step toward change reinforces your capacity. Every conscious choice reinforces your identity. Every repetition strengthens neural patterns that support confidence, self-trust, and resilience. Over time, Chapter 8. Share your ideas openly, even if others might disagree. Every person has ideas. Every person has perspectives, insights, and experiences that are uniquely their own. Yet, many hold back from sharing these ideas because of fear of judgment, fear of rejection, fear that someone will disagree. This hesitation quietly erodes confidence, limits growth, and restricts the impact you can have on the world. The truth is that the act of sharing your ideas openly is not about being right. It is about expressing your voice, contributing your perspective, and exercising your ability to influence, inspire, and participate in meaningful conversations. Confidence grows when you speak your truth without waiting for approval. The first step is acknowledging that disagreement is inevitable. Not everyone will see things the same way. People have different values, experiences, and ways of thinking. That diversity does not diminish the value of your ideas. In fact, the presence of disagreement is evidence that your perspective is independent, unique, and worthy of expression. When you internalize that differing opinions are normal, you remove the emotional barrier that keeps you silent. You begin to realize that your ideas deserve a place in the dialogue, regardless of whether everyone agrees. Fear often arises from imagined consequences rather than reality. You may anticipate ridicule, criticism, or dismissal. These thoughts can be paralyzing. The key is to separate anticipation from actual experience. Most disagreements are not as harsh as you imagine, and even if someone challenges your perspective, it is an opportunity, not a threat. Every time you share your ideas despite fear, you prove to yourself that you are capable of expressing your thoughts, handling feedback, and maintaining composure. Confidence is reinforced through repeated action. Start with small steps. Sharing ideas does not require grand speeches or perfect articulation. It begins with contributing a thought in a meeting, expressing an opinion in conversation, or offering a suggestion in a group setting. These small actions build experience, reduce fear, and reinforce self-belief. Each time you participate, you gather evidence that your voice has value. Over time, these small acts of expression compound, creating a habit of openness and confidence in communication. Understanding the value of your own ideas is critical. Self-belief strengthens when you recognize that your perspective is informed by your experiences, knowledge, and observations. No one else has lived your life, faced your challenges, or accumulated your unique insights. Sharing your ideas is an assertion of this individuality. It communicates that you respect your own perspective enough to contribute it to the world. The more you value your own thoughts, the easier it becomes to express them openly, even in the face of disagreement. Listening and empathy enhance the process. When sharing ideas, pay attention to others' perspectives. Listen actively, without immediately defending your position. This approach does not weaken your confidence, it strengthens it. Engaging with differing opinions demonstrates respect, adaptability, and emotional intelligence. It allows you to refine your ideas, consider alternatives, and communicate more effectively. Sharing openly is not about winning arguments, it is about contributing meaningfully while maintaining your integrity. Preparation can reduce anxiety. Knowing your ideas and having clarity about your perspective creates a foundation of confidence. Organize your thoughts mentally, anticipate questions, and consider potential objections. This preparation does not guarantee agreement, but it equips you to express yourself clearly and respond thoughtfully. Confidence comes from competence, and competence comes from preparation and understanding. When you know your material, hesitation diminishes, and your ability to contribute meaningfully increases. It is important to recognize that disagreement is not rejection. People may challenge your ideas for reasons that have nothing to do with your worth or capability. They may have different priorities, experiences, or biases. When you detach your self-value from others' reactions, you protect your confidence. Your worth is not determined by agreement. Your ability to express your thoughts, stand by your perspective, and engage respectively is the true measure of self-belief. Over time, this mindset transforms fear into courage. Sharing ideas openly also fosters growth. Each conversation, each discussion, and each challenge provides feedback. You learn more about your own reasoning, uncover gaps in knowledge, and gain insights you might have missed in isolation. Every disagreement is an opportunity to refine your perspective, strengthen your argument, and enhance your understanding. Confidence increases as you repeatedly demonstrate to yourself that you can engage constructively, learn, and grow without being diminished by criticism. Emotional regulation is crucial. When others disagree, your mind may trigger defensive reactions, frustration, or self-doubt. Acting from these emotions can undermine your credibility and reinforce fear. Practicing calm, measured responses allows you to maintain control, communicate effectively, and reinforce your internal confidence. Each time you respond thoughtfully, instead of reacting impulsively, you strengthen your self-belief and demonstrate to yourself that disagreement is manageable and non-threatening. Vulnerability is part of sharing ideas. Expressing your thoughts openly requires risk. It exposes your mind experiences and reasoning to scrutiny. Vulnerability is not weakness, it is a strength. It signals authenticity and courage. Each act of openness builds resilience. It teaches you that confidence is not the absence of fear or disagreement, but the ability to act despite them. By embracing vulnerability, you reclaim agency over your voice and reinforce your internal authority. Consistency matters. Sharing ideas sporadically may not build the same level of confidence as frequent engagement. Make it a habit to contribute, ask questions, and express your perspective in a variety of settings. Each action reinforces the belief that your voice matters. Over time, this practice rewires your thinking. You begin to view disagreement not as a threat, but as a natural part of dialogue. Confidence becomes habitual, not situational. You become someone whose presence, input, and ideas are expected and respected. Silence often reinforces doubt. When you withhold ideas, self-doubt gains strength. You start to question the value of your thoughts, your relevance, and your capacity. Every instance of not speaking silently erodes self-belief. Conversely, action breaks this cycle. By expressing your thoughts, you disrupt the narrative that your ideas are unworthy. Repeatedly breaking the habit of silence strengthens self-trust and cultivates an identity rooted in courage and agency. Sharing ideas also creates influence. People notice those who contribute constructively and confidently. Your voice shapes discussions, perspectives, and decisions. Influence is not about controlling others, it is about adding value. By sharing your insights, you demonstrate competence, clarity, and assertiveness. Each time your ideas are acknowledged or debated, you receive feedback that reinforces capability and strengthens confidence. Influence emerges naturally from consistent, courageous expression. Mindset is central to this practice. Instead of framing disagreement as danger, view it as opportunity. Each differing opinion is a chance to test, refine, and strengthen your idea. It is also a chance to learn about others, expand understanding, and improve communication. Reframing disagreement transforms fear into curiosity. This perspective shift builds confidence because it removes emotional reactivity and replaces it with intentional action. You act from purpose rather than from avoidance. Body language reinforces verbal expression. Standing upright, maintaining eye contact, and using purposeful gestures communicates authority and presence. Physical expression and verbal expression work together. Each act of confident posture, while sharing ideas, signals to your mind that you are capable. Internal belief and external expression reinforce one another. When your body and voice are aligned, your presence commands attention, and self-belief strengthens naturally. Feedback should be embraced. Criticism, questions, and challenges provide valuable information. They are not judgments of worth. Every response, whether supportive or opposing, is an opportunity to learn. Treat feedback as a resource for growth rather than a threat. Each constructive exchange reinforces your capacity to engage, adapt, and improve. Confidence grows as you repeatedly demonstrate the ability to contribute meaningfully, respond effectively, and maintain composure, regardless of reaction. Start today by sharing a thought you would normally withhold. Notice the feeling of hesitation, the urge to stay silent, and the thought patterns that emerge. Act anyway. Observe the outcome. Reflect on the experience. Each repetition builds familiarity, reduces fear, and strengthens confidence. Over time, this practice becomes automatic. Expressing your ideas openly becomes habitual, and your identity aligns with action, courage, and contribution. Each step is compounded by intention. Approach every conversation as an opportunity to participate fully. Respect your own voice. Respect the perspectives of others. Commit to authenticity, clarity, and courage. Small acts of consistent expression produce cumulative growth. Self-belief strengthens with every conversation, every idea, and every act of openness. You begin to see yourself as someone capable of contributing, influencing, and expressing thoughts without fear. Confidence becomes a natural extension of practice and courage. Over weeks, months, and years, this habit transforms self-perception. Silence that once reinforced self-doubt is replaced by action that confirms capability. Fear that once paralyzed speech is replaced by courage that inspires further expression. Internal belief becomes independent of approval. External disagreement no longer threatens confidence. You develop an internal standard rooted in action, resilience, and consistent demonstration of your voice. Self-belief solidifies because it is repeatedly validated through action rather than wishful thinking. Commit to the process. Every day intentionally share a perspective, contribute an idea, or participate in discussion where hesitation previously held you back. Notice fear and act anyway. Observe responses without internalizing rejection. Reflect on progress and reinforce learning. Surround yourself with environments that encourage dialogue and thoughtful exchange. Over time, you build a habit of openness, a track record of contribution, and an unshakable belief in your capacity to express your thoughts meaningfully. Sharing ideas openly, even when others might disagree, is not merely about communication. It is a practice of courage, self-respect, and agency. It teaches you that your voice matters, that your perspective has value, and that confidence is strengthened by repeated, intentional action. Each conversation.
Chapter 9. Focus on what you can control and act decisively. Life can feel overwhelming when attention is scattered and focus is unclear. People often expend energy worrying about circumstances they cannot change, opinions they cannot influence, and outcomes that are beyond their reach. This habit quietly erodes confidence, creates frustration, and diminishes effectiveness. The key to developing unstoppable confidence and consistent results is to focus on what you can control and act decisively. Control and action are the foundations of personal power. Without them, energy is wasted, decisions are delayed, and potential is left unfulfilled. Focus begins with awareness. Notice where your attention goes. How much of it is spent on things you can influence versus things you cannot. Most people overinvest in the uncontrollable traffic, weather, other people's reactions, or past mistakes. This diverts mental energy from the areas where impact is possible. Focusing on controllable elements allows you to conserve energy, maintain clarity, and act with intention. When you consistently prioritize what you can control, your confidence grows because you are building a track record of meaningful action. Control is not about manipulating everything around you. It is about recognizing your own responsibility and influence. You cannot control outcomes, but you can control effort, preparation, attitude, and response. Every decision, every action, and every moment of focus represents an area where your influence matters. By directing energy toward these elements, you gain measurable results. Each action within your control is proof that you can affect change, reinforcing self-belief and creating momentum. Decisive action is critical. Thinking, planning, and analyzing are important, but without timely execution, potential is wasted. People often hesitate, waiting for perfect conditions or complete information. These delays create missed opportunities and self-doubt. Acting decisively within your sphere of control builds confidence because it produces real evidence of capability. Each decision, even if imperfect, provides feedback and experience that refines future action. Decisiveness strengthens both belief in yourself and trust in your judgment. Begin with clarity of priorities. Identify the areas of life where you can make a meaningful impact. This could be daily habits, personal skills, professional tasks, relationships, or financial management. When priorities are clear, you can allocate attention and effort efficiently. Control becomes tangible when focus is directed at specific actions that produce measurable outcomes. By consistently acting within these areas, confidence grows naturally because your energy is spent producing results, not chasing distractions. Action is amplified by preparation. Understand the steps you can take to influence outcomes within your control. Plan strategically, gather information, and equip yourself with tools and skills. Preparation does not eliminate uncertainty, but it increases your capacity to act effectively. When you act from preparation, hesitation decreases, mistakes are minimized, and results are maximized. Confidence is reinforced because you are not acting blindly, you are acting intentionally. Decision-making is a skill that strengthens with practice. Start by making smaller choices decisively. Commit to decisions about your daily schedule, how you respond to challenges, and how you allocate your energy. Each deliberate decision provides evidence of capability. Over time, your ability to make larger, more complex decisions improves. Decisive action reduces stress, minimizes wasted time, and reinforces self-trust. Confidence emerges from repeated demonstrations of competence. Resist the temptation to dwell on uncontrollable factors. Worrying about other people's opinions, global events, or unexpected circumstances is unproductive. Instead, redirect energy to areas where action is possible. The distinction between what you can and cannot control becomes a tool for focus and empowerment. By consciously choosing where to direct attention, you reclaim mental and emotional energy, reduce anxiety, and strengthen confidence. Acting decisively in areas of control builds evidence of capability that cannot be disputed. Self-awareness supports control. Monitor your thoughts, emotions, and behaviors. Notice when your focus drifts to uncontrollable elements. Catch yourself when hesitation or doubt emerges. Use these moments as signals to recalibrate. Ask, what can I do right now that is within my power? This question shifts perspective from helplessness to agency. Each intentional act of refocusing reinforces internal authority and creates a cycle of empowered action. Action, without reflection, can become busy work. Take time to evaluate results, refine strategies, and adjust course when necessary. Reflection is not dwelling on failure, it is learning from outcomes and improving future performance. Decisive actors incorporate feedback to enhance effectiveness. Each completed action, followed by thoughtful reflection, provides data, experience, and reinforcement for confidence. Over time, these cycles of action and reflection build mastery and self-belief.
Time management reinforces focus on control. Allocate attention intentionally. Identify the tasks, decisions, and behaviors that produce the greatest impact. Prioritize these areas and minimize engagement with distractions or uncontrollable circumstances. The discipline of focused attention strengthens confidence because results become predictable, progress is visible, and effort aligns with capability. Every hour invested in what you can control produces measurable growth in competence and self-belief. Accountability enhances action. When you commit to tasks, decisions, or behaviors within your control and track progress, your internal and external feedback loops strengthen. Accountability can come from personal tracking, mentors, or supportive communities. External accountability reinforces internal commitment. Each completed action under accountability confirms capability, demonstrates reliability, and strengthens confidence. Habitual action supported by accountability is one of the fastest paths to consistent self-belief. Managing reactions is also within control. You cannot dictate how others behave, but you can control your response. Choosing calm, constructive, and intentional responses builds internal authority. Every controlled reaction demonstrates self-mastery and reinforces confidence. Over time, repeated practice of measured responses creates resilience. You face challenges with clarity rather than panic, and this internal stability supports decisive action in other areas. Focus on controllable elements also includes mindset. You can control how you interpret events, challenges, and setbacks. Choosing a mindset of possibility rather than limitation transforms behavior. When you focus on actionable solutions instead of problems, your energy produces tangible results. Each decision to shift perspective is an act of control. Each deliberate thought reinforces belief in your capability and strengthens confidence. Mindset becomes both tool and evidence of self-mastery. Breaking tasks into actionable steps enhances decisiveness. Large, complex goals can create paralysis. Identify the smallest next step within your control and act immediately. Momentum builds from these incremental actions. Each small accomplishment produces feedback that fuels confidence. The cumulative effect of repeated, manageable steps is significant. Confidence grows because evidence of progress accumulates, demonstrating that you are capable of influence and achievement. Risk assessment is part of decisive action. Identify what is within your influence, evaluate options, and take calculated steps. Avoid unnecessary risk in areas you cannot control. Instead, concentrate on measurable impact, where action produces results. Each successful execution of a decision, informed by assessment, reinforces internal trust. Risk becomes manageable when you focus on factors under your control and act with purpose. Energy management supports consistent control. Focused, decisive action requires mental, physical, and emotional energy. Prioritize rest, nutrition, exercise, and emotional regulation to maintain capacity. You cannot act decisively on an empty tank. Treat your body and mind as tools of influence. Each act of self-care sustains your ability to take control and execute effectively. Confidence grows when energy and focus align to produce measurable action. Overcoming indecision requires action over analysis paralysis. Waiting for perfect clarity often leads to inaction. Instead, gather sufficient information, identify controllable factors, and act decisively. Accept that uncertainty is part of life. Action produces clarity that thought alone cannot provide. Confidence is built through tangible outcomes. Each choice made and acted upon reinforces belief in your judgment and capacity. Success compounds when control and decisive action are habitual. Each choice, each effort, each focused action accumulates. Outcomes emerge not by chance, but by consistent, intentional engagement with factors you can influence. Habitual decisiveness creates a rhythm of action that produces results, builds competence, and strengthens self-belief. Over time, this approach transforms uncertainty into opportunity, hesitation into confidence, and potential into achievement. Begin today. Identify one area within your control that you have been avoiding. Take a clear, deliberate step. Commit to action. Observe the results and adjust as needed. Reflect on your decision-making process. Notice the internal shift when effort produces tangible results. Each step builds momentum. Each decision reinforces trust in yourself. Each act of focus on controllable elements strengthens confidence. Over time, the habit of decisive action becomes automatic, creating unstoppable internal authority. Actively practicing this principle in multiple areas of life accelerates growth. Apply it to work, relationships, personal development, health and finances. The more frequently you focus on what is controllable and act decisively, the more evidence accumulates of your competence. Confidence becomes reinforced through consistent, visible proof. You no longer wait for circumstances or others to provide validation. Your belief in yourself is built on repeated action, results, and mastery over what is within your influence. The long-term effect is transformative. Worry, hesitation, and doubt lose power. Your energy is no longer scattered on uncontrollable elements. Instead, it is directed toward meaningful action. Confidence is not dependent on luck or external approval. It emerges from repeated, intentional engagement with factors you can influence. Each decision, each action, and each completed task is a building block of unstoppable self-belief. You experience life with clarity, momentum, and certainty because your focus and actions aligned with your true capacity.
Chapter 10. Reinforce positive self-talk with consistent intentional daily practice. Every day, your mind talks to you. It whispers, comments, evaluates, and critiques, often without you noticing. Some of these messages are supportive, encouraging, and constructive. Others are harsh, dismissive, and destructive. Most people underestimate the power of this internal dialogue. The words you speak to yourself shape your beliefs, influence your behavior, and determine how confidently you move through life. The single most impactful habit for building unstoppable confidence is reinforcing positive self-talk with consistent intentional daily practice. It is not just a nice idea, it is the foundation for transforming thought into action, doubt into certainty, and fear into courage. Positive self-talk begins with awareness. Notice the words running through your mind throughout the day. Observe the tone, content, and frequency of your internal statements. Are you telling yourself you cannot do something before you even try? Are you second-guessing every decision, magnifying mistakes, or assuming failure? This pattern of thinking silently erodes confidence over time. Awareness is the first step because you cannot change what you do not acknowledge. Observing your self-talk reveals the habitual narratives that either lift you up or tear you down. Once awareness is established, intentional intervention begins. Challenge every negative statement that arises. Ask yourself whether it is based on truth, fear, or assumption. Replace self-criticism with constructive, supportive language. This does not mean ignoring mistakes or avoiding accountability. It means framing your thoughts in a way that reinforces learning, growth, and self-respect. For example, instead of thinking, "I always fail at this," say, "I am learning and improving each time I try." Words matter because repeated phrases become beliefs, and beliefs shape your confidence. Daily practice is essential. Positive self-talk is not a single act, it is a consistent habit. Set aside intentional moments throughout the day to reflect and affirm constructive thoughts. This could be first thing in the morning, during transitions between tasks, or before sleep. Repetition rewires the mind. Each affirmation, each reframing, and each supportive statements strengthens neural pathways associated with confidence, self-trust, and resilience. Over time, these intentional practices become automatic, guiding your behavior even when challenges arise. Language influences emotion. The way you speak to yourself shapes how you feel. Harsh, critical words generate tension, fear, and hesitation. Supportive, encouraging words foster calm, courage, and decisiveness. By consistently choosing language that empowers, you cultivate emotional states that support confident action. Each positive statement serves as reinforcement for belief in your capacity, competence, and potential. Your internal voice becomes a tool for growth rather than a source of doubt. Integration into daily activities magnifies impact. Positive self-talk should not be isolated to quiet moments. Practice it while working, communicating, exercising, and pursuing goals. When challenges arise, deliberately replace fear-based thoughts with supportive alternatives. For example, when preparing for a difficult conversation, remind yourself, I am capable of expressing my thoughts clearly and respectfully. When facing a challenging task, affirm, I can handle this step by step and succeed through persistence. Intentional reinforcement in real-world situations translates thought into action and belief into performance. Visualization complements self-talk. Imagine yourself acting confidently, handling challenges effectively, and achieving desired outcomes. Combine this mental rehearsal with positive verbal reinforcement. The combination of seeing and speaking success strengthens the mind-body connection, producing tangible changes in behavior. Each practice session, even if brief, builds neural pathways that support confident action, helping internal belief align with external performance. Consistency matters more than intensity. Even short, daily sessions of positive self-talk produce cumulative effect. It is better to practice intentionally for 5 minutes every day than to attempt hours of effort sporadically. Consistency builds automaticity. Your internal dialogue gradually becomes supportive by default, reducing the effort required to maintain confidence under stress. Each day of practice compounds with the previous, creating an exponential effect on self-belief and resilience. Personalization enhances effectiveness. Generic phrases may not resonate deeply. Choose statements that align with your experiences, goals, and challenges. For example, instead of simply saying, I am confident, articulate, I have handled challenges successfully before and I am capable now. Tailoring language ensures the self-talk addresses real concerns and reinforces authentic confidence. When words reflect reality and aspiration, they have a stronger impact on thought patterns and behavior. Monitor progress and adjust. Pay attention to changes in mood, focus, and performance as you practice positive self-talk. Notice which statements produce genuine encouragement and which feel hollow or forced. Adjust phrasing, timing, and repetition accordingly. The process is iterative, and refinement strengthens outcome. Each observation and adjustment enhances the precision of reinforcement, ensuring your internal dialogue continually supports growth, resilience, and achievement. Combining self-talk with action amplifies results. Thoughts alone are insufficient. They must guide behavior. Each time you affirm capability, take a corresponding step forward. Actively applying positive statements in real situations reinforces belief. For example, telling yourself, I am capable of speaking confidently, followed by actively participating in a discussion, transforms words into lived experience. Repeated integration of thought and action builds unshakable confidence grounded in reality rather than wishful thinking. Counteracting habitual negativity requires discipline. Old patterns of self-criticism may resurface, especially during stress or challenge. Anticipate these moments and prepare specific statements to counteract negativity. For instance, when encountering self-doubt, respond immediately with a pre-planned affirmation. Discipline ensures that even under pressure, your internal dialogue remains supportive. Over time, habitual responses shift, and confidence becomes the default rather than the exception. Environment supports self-talk.
Surround yourself with influences that reinforce positivity, growth, and belief in potential. Limit exposure to individuals, media, or content that perpetuates doubt or negativity. Positive reinforcement from your environment strengthens internal habit. When your surroundings echo the messages you are practicing internally, self-belief is amplified, and consistent action becomes more natural. Accountability accelerates growth. Share your practice with a mentor, coach, or supportive friend. Discuss your statements, progress, and challenges. External feedback reinforces internal commitment. Knowing someone else is aware of your intentional practice motivates consistency and focus. Accountability transforms self-talk from a private exercise into a structured habit, supported by external reinforcement, strengthening the habit and your confidence simultaneously. Self-talk also reinforces emotional resilience. Life is unpredictable, and challenges will always arise. When internal dialogue consistently supports your capacity to handle difficulties, emotional responses stabilize. You experience less panic, anxiety, or hesitation. Each challenge becomes an opportunity to practice resilience, rather than a trigger for self-doubt. Over time, consistent reinforcement of positive internal dialogue produces a mental state prepared for action, confident judgment, and measured response. Positive self-talk encourages self-compassion. People often criticize themselves more harshly than others would. By intentionally speaking kindly to yourself, you nurture patience, forgiveness, and understanding. Mistakes are reframed as learning opportunities, and setbacks are viewed as temporary, rather than defining. This compassionate perspective sustains confidence even during periods of difficulty. Consistent practice transforms self-perception from judgmental to supportive, reinforcing internal belief. Combine self-talk with goal alignment. Ensure statements support your larger objective. For instance, if improving public speaking is a goal, affirm statements like, "I am improving my communication skills every day." Alignment ensures that positive reinforcement is purposeful, connected to actionable steps, and directly impacts performance. Each aligned affirmation strengthens confidence because it produces observable progress toward meaningful outcomes. Over time, the internal narrative becomes automatic. The mind begins to default to supportive, empowering language. Challenges no longer trigger automatic self-criticism. Mistakes no longer initiate cycles of doubt. Each day of consistent, intentional practice rewires thought patterns. Confidence becomes ingrained, self-belief is reinforced, and resilience is strengthened. The cumulative effect of daily practice creates a foundation of unstoppable internal support, enabling decisive action, courage, and sustained achievement. Celebrate progress. Notice improvements in mood, focus, decision-making, and action. Each positive change is evidence that reinforcement is effective. Acknowledging growth enhances motivation, reinforces practice, and strengthens self-belief. Each acknowledgement, even small, compounds over time, producing a mental environment of encouragement, validation, and confidence. Recognition of progress solidifies the connection between practice and outcome. Begin with clarity. Decide which areas of life need supportive reinforcement. Identify statements that counteract habitual doubt, negativity, or fear. Practice intentionally, consistently, and purposefully. Integrate these statements into daily routines, real-world actions, and reflective moments. Track progress, refine phrasing, and maintain discipline. Surround yourself with reinforcing environments, and engage accountability when possible. Over weeks and months, the habit of positive self-talk transforms thought, action, and belief into a coherent system that supports unstoppable confidence. Commitment to this practice is non-negotiable. Confidence is not a fleeting emotion. It is a habit reinforced through consistent thought, reflection, and action. Every statement, every repetition, and every integration strengthens self-trust. Every day becomes an opportunity to reinforce belief, practice resilience, and align internal dialogue with desired outcomes. Over time, this consistent, intentional habit produces a mind conditioned to support action, growth, and achievement. Reinforcing positive self-talk daily is an investment. It is an investment in mindset, behavior, emotion, and identity. Each statement shapes perception, strengthens self-belief, and informs action. The compound effect of this practice produces tangible results, improved relationships, better decision-making, and stronger resilience. Confidence becomes embedded in character rather than situational. Each day of intentional reinforcement compounds, creating a life led with certainty, capability, and unwavering self-trust. The practice is lifelong. Challenges, setbacks, and uncertainty will always exist. Consistent, intentional self-talk ensures you navigate these experiences with courage, clarity, and composure. Confidence becomes self-reinforcing because it is grounded in repeated evidence, daily practice, and intentional action. You are no longer at the mercy of circumstance, opinion, or fear. You are guided by a steady internal voice that encourages, motivates, and empowers.